So welcome to this video, and in this video I'm going to read an article I've just written called Exposing Satanism. So, Satanism is a practicing religion just like any other, and it is far more popular than most people realize. You might think of Satanists as dressing like goths or vampires, or perhaps heavy metal rockers. But that is mostly just the young people who like the image of Satanism. Real, practicing adult Satanists are usually indistinguishable from other adults. They dress like normal people. They have jobs like normal people. They speak like normal people. They live and work beside us in towns and cities across the globe. But they keep their true religious beliefs and practices hidden. That's what occult means. Occult means hidden. And occult practices are practiced with other group members in secret, in dark settings, and behind locked doors. And for good reason too, because these practices often involve sexual deviance and cruel and gruesome rituals such as drinking blood, sacrifice, and usually horrific child abuse. What is important to understand about Satanism is that it stands for everything that is in opposition to Christianity. It is literally the anti-religion to Christianity. Satanism is about impurity and defilement rather than purity and innocence. It is about torture and punishment, especially of the pure and innocent, rather than forgiveness, healing, and redemption. It is about deception, deceit, and manipulation, rather than honesty, decency, and integrity. It is about invoking and being possessed by a powerful dark force of fear, evil, hatred, and animalistic lust, which is usually deviant, rather than the luminous force of joy, love, and the peace of God. Satanism is practiced in much higher echelons of our society than people would want to believe, right at the very top in fact. We must realize that where there is the highest degree of power, you'll find the highest degree of corruption. Where there is the greatest amount of wealth, you will find the greatest amount of greed. Greed and corruption do truly awful things to the human soul. They steer it away from the light, from goodness, from love and care for others. They consume the heart with selfishness, with all the fleshly desires for self-indulgence, self-gratification, not caring who may suffer in the pursuit of one's own pleasures. In fact, the dark and deviant pleasures of the flesh are increased when the suffering, pain and anguish of others is involved, because such pleasures are sadomasochistic at their root. These dark pleasures have the effect of totally corrupting the purity, innocence, and goodness of the human heart. And this is their exact purpose, to defile the purity of the most precious thing that God created in as extreme and dark a way as possible. This is the ultimate act of hatred towards God, to fill with blackness, misery, and evil what He created to be filled with light, happiness, and joy, the human heart. Satanism, in its essence, is a religion of total rebellion against God. Its ultimate aim is to be a continuous practice of defiance against God, of doing the complete opposite to what God has told us is good, decent, and loving. True Satanism aims to go as far in the opposite direction as possible, specifically for the purpose of spiting God, to rebel against Him, and to destroy the magnificence of His most precious creation. Satanism encourages its followers to do all the things that they instinctively know are the worst things they could do: child abuse, torture, human sacrifice, cannibalism, necrophilia, the darker and more deviant the practice, the greater the rebellion against God, and the greater the feeling of dark pleasure experienced by the practitioner. This dark pleasure is essentially the pleasure of Satan, who is a very real spiritual force, despite what many overt satanic practitioners say they believe. As mentioned before, Satanism is a religion of deceit, darkness, and manipulation. In the Bible, Satan is called the father of lies, and for good reason. This is why you should never believe a single word uttered by someone who claims to be a Satanist. Lying, and lying to an extreme, is part of their rebellion against God's call for us to be honest, upright, and decent. Deceit is at the very core of Satanism, and no Satanist should be trusted an inch. So when you hear satanic groups claiming that they are standing up for the rights of the oppressed, for freedom, for tolerance, even for love, you can be absolutely sure they are engaged in the practice of manipulation for the specific purpose of generating more sympathy and interest in their dark and deviant religion. They want to draw people in, just like cancer cells want to infect the healthy cells around them. People who love God should be and generally are totally open about their love for Him and their love for Jesus, because they want others to know the joy that their religion brings them, as well as the salvation from darkness, which is a great cause for celebration. But Satanists, they don't want you to know that they are really worshipping Satan. They will relentlessly and convincingly lie about their belief in him, so that more people will be drawn in their direction, believing all the PR about it being a religion of freedom, activism, compassion for the downtrodden, and so on. If people knew what truly goes on behind closed doors, and what goes on in the minds and hearts of committed Satanists, they would run a mile. It is dark, evil, fearful, and disturbing to the extreme, and you don't want to go anywhere near it, trust me. Stay with God and stay with Jesus, because they really do love you, and they will not lie to you ever. God's love is as transparent and pure as fresh water, and it will rejuvenate and heal you in ways you thought were not possible, I can assure you. And so you may have noticed that the religion of Satanism is becoming more and more mainstream, gaining more and more popularity, especially among young, liberal-minded people who've been persuaded that Christianity is about oppression, dogma, restriction, and being holier than thou. Trust me, this is not true Christianity. Speak to any happy Christian, and they will tell you that it is about being loved and protected by God, protected from all harm, darkness, and fear. It is about having Jesus by your side, in your heart and in your mind, keeping you in the light, keeping you in peace and joy, keeping your heart strong. It is about caring deeply for your fellow humans and wanting to protect them from harm and from spiritual darkness. This is why I'm writing this right now, because I know very well that the darkest of spiritual forces, that of Satan, is desperately trying to win people over by deceptively portraying Satanism as a movement of freedom, compassion, and empowerment against the evil Christian oppressors. Can you see what Satan is doing? He is flipping the tables and persuading people to believe that the bad guy, who truly has the worst intentions imaginable, is actually the good guy. As I said, he is the embodiment of deception. With the help of people like Billie Eilish, who has made it clear she is into Satanism, and you can see the video I made on my YouTube channel. With the help of Billie Eilish, he's gotten young girls believing that if they are good, they are going to hell. Satanism is about inverting everything we instinctively know is right and convincing us that the opposite is true. via the media, he's in the process of convincing millions of young people that Christianity is about enslaving them and that Satanism is about liberating and empowering them. The ultimate deception. Billie Eilish is doing a wonderful PR job for Satanism, as is the program The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina on Netflix, and countless other films, programs, and books which promote Satanism and witchcraft as a good thing. Again, I've made a video about this. You can look on my YouTube channel. I've made a video called The Big Media Witchcraft Agenda. So please trust me, I can tell you from a lot of spiritual experience that anything that takes you away from God is not a good thing. All spiritual light, all love, all goodness, all divine beauty comes from God. If you turn away from God, you turn away from the source of all of these things. Satanism may promise liberation, but it will only deliver inner darkness, fear, and misery far greater than any human could ever imagine, because the entire hidden purpose of their religion is to take its devotees as far away from God as possible. But Jesus, on the other hand, will lead you straight into the loving heart of God's goodness and endless protection, and he will make sure that no harm will ever come to you. Don't believe the deceptive lies of Satanism. It wants to lure you down a very dark alley and use your mind and soul for very dark purposes. Demons are real, Satan is real, and hell is real. Again, there's several videos proving this on my YouTube channel. Please understand this. Trust Jesus with your heart. He is who he says he is. There is no deception. He is the Son of God, your Saviour. Accept him and enjoy eternal protection, perfect peace, and the deeply fulfilling love of God, everything your heart has truly longed for.